Yo, what's up guys? Bill here for Classic Rock and Metal Review, here to talk about and review recent concert I just saw, the Black Crowes. This was back on July 2nd. Sorry I'm a little late getting to this. I feel like I'm always saying that when it comes to a concert review. So I'll have to try and work on that. 2022, the Shake Your Moneymaker Tour. This is sort of celebrating the 30th anniversary of this album. This album went to number 4 in the US and had 5 singles, and 2 of them went to number 1. So still their most best-selling album, most popular album. So I guess good album as any to go and do a tour up where you play the entire thing, huh? If you guys can, before we get started, if you guys can like and subscribe, that'd be great. All right, so this show, like I said, was a few weeks ago now in Atlantic City, New Jersey at the Borgata Hotel and Casino. Now that place has 2 venues. It has a music box that holds about 1,200. It's an awesome little amphitheater style place. I saw Don Felder there 6 months ago or more. Seen a bunch of shows there. Saw the Black Crowes there in 2010. It was the only time I've ever seen them before. That show was great, awesome, off the charts, great show. I've been wanting to see them since. This is the first time they've been near me since then, as far as I know, and I try to pay attention to that sort of thing. Now this time they were playing at the larger event center. Events music box holds 1,200 or so. Event center holds 3 times that many, 3,700 seats. Now what was cool is that they took the seats out of the front, so you still had some seating in the back, but we were standing up in front of the stage, sort of, where most of the fans were, probably 2/3 of the crowd, which is great. I love that open floor. It used to be called dance concert situation. Anyway, I can't stand a concert where you have to sit, So the Shake Your Moneymaker 30th tour, you have the whole, they're playing the entire album. So, you knew that going in. They also have the recently released EP, 6 songs, I think, on the 1972 EP. 6 cover songs from that year. Was really looking forward to at least a couple songs from that. Some of my favorite songs from the bands that are on there. I mean, there's a great T-Rex song on there, Slider. Moon Age Daydreams, one of my favorite Bowies, maybe my favorite. Of course, some Stones and Temptations. Anyhow, so let's get to the show and the set list. So they start out, like I said, with the entire first album, and they play it in order. So great 1-2 punch of Twice as Hard into Jealous Again. Awesome. I kind of missed most of that section anyway, getting a drink, but I could hear it clearly. Sister Luck, Could I Have Been So Blind? Couple decent ones there. I wasn't familiar with those, to be honest. Seeing Things, now that one I kind of knew somehow, and I guess it was on the radio maybe back in the day. Into, of course, their most popular song, Hard to Handle. Crowd goes nuts on that one. Great one. Thick and Thin, that's a really good song off of this album. I think I used to have a VHS of these guys, back in the day, and this was on there. She Talks to Angels, sounded great. Rich brings out the acoustic, sounds spot on, man, really good. Struttin' Blues, and then Stare It Cold, and there's your Shake Your Moneymaker. Personally, I mean, it sounded great, and let me just say that the band sounds awesome. I don't know who's in the band besides Rich and Chris. They have a piano player, keyboard player, they have a drummer, a bassist, and then finally another guitar player who does most of the leads. He does a lot of slide guitar. Surprisingly, Rich didn't play solos on most of these songs. It was this other guitar player. So I was a little surprised at that. Now, personally, I love the Black Crowes as far as like live. I have a bunch of their CDs now. Most of them I've gotten pretty recently. Not a huge fan of their records. They're good. I mean, there's certain songs I love. And then the overall CDs, I can sort of take them or leave them. It just kind of seems like one of the sort of the same thing all the way through. Now, like I said, I saw them in 2010 and they blew me away live. So I've really been looking forward to this show. Now, all that being said, they only played for about an hour and a half, about 95 minutes, and it was like 16 songs total. So 10 of them were this album. I think if I had my way, I would have heard a little bit of everything from all their whole career. So, now, some people there, like my wife grew up with this album, when she was younger. So she loved hearing the whole thing. I probably would have liked hearing half of it and then 5 other songs. But that's just me. It did sound awesome. The band sounds great, and Chris Robinson is still, his frontman skills are like, I think, like second to none. He looks like a young Jagger up there. I mean, I was kind of impressed by how much he moves around, and his voice sounds great. That was another thing, you know, I think a lot of, and fairly so, a lot of the criticism of the 1972 EP was that Chris's voice sounds like it, you know, lost a little range, maybe a little power too. Not at all live. He sounds fantastic live. Like, forget anything you've been hearing about that based on the 72 EP. So then we're on to, once that album's done, they do Sting Me from the second album. That sounded great. Then from Warpaint, Goodbye Daughters of the Revolution. I love that song. I think most of the crowd was unfamiliar with it. I don't care. I love it. They played it. It sounded great. Then they do Wiser Time off of the Amorica album. That was pretty good. Thorn in My Pride off of Southern Harmony again. That sounded great. Love that one. And then Remedy brought the house down. What a great big, you know, awesome rock number. They had I forgot to mention they had two girl singers back there on the side too. Pretty cool stage, you know. The girl singers were on this little look like shack porch. And they had this bar over to the one side where the band went out and got a drink before they went out to the show. But I think if I was them, I would have went over a little more. But anyway, they never used the bar after the very first opening of the concert, even though there was a bartender over at the bar the entire time. Anyway, so Remedy, and then that's it. That's the end of the show proper, at least. And they come back out and they do one more. They do God's Got It from Warpaint, which I really love. Very Stones sounding song. Pretty cool song. I think I probably would have flipped that, you know, honestly. Do God's Got It and then come back out and make Remedy your encore. And then I think people probably leave a little happier because doing God's Got It as your last number was a little kind of odd. So overall, I'd have to say the show was great. As far as the set list, you know, like I already told you, I would have rather been mixed up than them play one album. I guess if you're a super fan of it, then, you know, you're in heaven. But if you're like me and you'd rather hear 2 or 3 songs from every album, then, you know, that's what I would have preferred. That's what I got when I saw them 12 years ago. Anyway, regardless of that, the show was great. The band sounds awesome. I would have to say, though, and I hardly ever noticed this, the sound, and it wasn't the room or the venue, because the sound seemed to move around a little bit. As far as earlier in the show, you could barely hear the lead guitar player. You could hear him, but it just wasn't to the level of the rest of the band. Then they eventually fixed that, and then you couldn't really hear Chris as much singing. So the sound engineer, I guess, or sound guy could have did a better job. And I mean, it's not that often anymore these days where you'd have to come away from a show saying that you really kind of wish the sound was better. So anyway, I just have to throw that in there. The other thing I'd have to say is that nothing from the new EP got played. I was really looking forward to at least 1 or 2 songs from that. So to not hear anything from that was kind of lame. And then, you know, the thing is, like, I did take a look at the set list. They were playing the Peach Festival, I think Scranton, Pennsylvania, the next night. For that, they didn't do the whole Shake Your Money Maker. They just played 20, so 4 more songs, and also just mixed it up from their whole career. That would have been, I think, a better concert for me to see anyway. But overall, I'd have to give the show like a solid 9 because the performance was great. Everyone sounds awesome. I was a little expecting Chris's vocals to not be up to snuff, you know, maybe just bring it down a level. I mean, these guys are going on 32 years, right? So can't hold them to that 1990 ability anymore. But honestly, live, they sounded fantastic. So I just would have maybe changed the set list up a little bit. Overall, great time, great show. Wish it was a little longer. When I saw them in 2010, they played for 2 hours and 10 minutes. This was more like a 95-minute show. There you go. Black Crowes Shake Your Money Maker Tour. I would recommend you going to see them. Sounds like they do a little bit different thing at festival situations, and that's maybe where you should try to catch them if they have any more left on the tour for that. But you won't get the whole album if you're into that at those events. All right, guys, that'll do it for now. If you guys can like and subscribe, that would be cool. Catch you later.